You know what? I like the German Chancellor Angela Merkel. Friends and associates who work with me know that too. Welcome to Arm Wrestling with COVID-19 in London. This is number 42. Okay, we've got a vaccine. A vaccine that was developed in Germany at a company that was founded and led by scientists of Turkish heritage. It was tested around the world, and it's in fact being manufactured in Belgium. But what has been our government's take? That the UK led the charge. Now, fair enough, we need some good news. Since February, March of this year, we in the United Kingdom, across all four nations, and also across the world, I must admit, Europe, the United States, China, Russia, Africa, the Middle East, North Africa, everybody has been suffering from this dastardly virus, COVID-19. So if we've got a vaccine and we are the first country in the developed world to start a process of inoculation, we should be sharing this good news, even though we did not participate in the making of the Pfizer vaccine. Mind you, there are other vaccines in the pipeline as well, and one of them, the Oxford vaccine, which is still being tested by the regulatory body, is very much UK made and UK produced. But let's start with what has been happening over the past few days. Inoculations have started. We've watched it on the telly. We've heard about it discussed endlessly on the wireless. We've read about it. We are happy. We feel that maybe this is the start of some good news leading up to Christmas. But how do we preserve this good news? And how do we temper our excitement at the moment so that we do not suffer in the long run or even in the medium term? Now, I know if I can imagine some of the people watching this short YouTube episode number 42, the eyebrows are going to go up and they're going to say, oh, here he comes again. Well, I am not a prophet of doom and gloom. I'm as excited as anybody else that there is a vaccine and more are in the pipeline that might actually get us out of this horrible period of 9-10 months that we've been living. The uncertainty, the fear, the deaths in this country, well over 60,000. The number of cases, the people in ICU and in hospitals across the country. It's awful. And the fear. Don't forget the fear. We pretend that there is no fear, but there is fear. We consider what if and what if not. Of course, there are people who do not fear the vaccine, who probably think it's all a conspiracy, who probably think that this is just not real and that we'll be all right. And if a few people die, so what? C'est la vie. There are even people I know who say, why should I be afraid of the vaccine? Why should I actually wear that face mask? I'm a faithful religious person, say I'm Christian, Jesus will help me. He will not let me get this virus. Really? In the 21st century, this is how we think? And so, looking at those 9-10 months of utter frustration, fear, anger, perplexity, continual changing rules. 1 minute it's tier 1, the next it's tier 2. No, it's the test and trace. No, it's the lockdown. No, we have to allow people to breathe a little bit. Then that brings me actually to my introduction about Chancellor Angela Merkel. Now, why did I mention her there? I didn't just think that I'm going to promote the idea that I like and respect, more importantly, the German Chancellor. At the end of the day, you would say, well, what's that got to do with what you're talking about, which is COVID-19? Or more to the point, does she really care that I like her and respect her or not? Probably she doesn't even know that. But the reason I introduced her into this conversation is very simply because last Wednesday, just a few days ago, she addressed the Bundestag, the German parliament, in which this scientist, this woman of science, this woman of reason, this woman who is so stereotypical in the way she behaves logically, rationally, the way she dresses simply, became very emotional as she talked about the increasing number of deaths in Germany because of COVID-19. And she pretty much enforced a lockdown that will take us through to, or that will take Germans through to January, early January 2021. Now, I don't know if you've seen her speak. I don't know if you speak German. I don't know if you've watched the translations, but just so you have a look at it, it's a short video clip. I'll put the link of Angela Merkel getting emotional as she reflects, and this is what she says, on the price we pay for our liberties and for exposing ourselves to COVID-19. You will find the link in the description box of this YouTube. And I talk about Angela Merkel here because I'm worried about what's happening here in our own country, in the UK. A few weeks ago, we were worried about the North. We were worried about the Northwest, the Northeast. We were worried about Leeds, Liverpool, Manchester, even Newcastle. Not to talk about Scotland or Wales in the West or Northern Ireland. But now, considering that this YouTube is arm wrestling with COVID-19 in London, let me bring it back to base and say that the highest rates of COVID-19 incidents are now in London, now as we speak this week, leading up to Christmas, in addition to apparently Essex and Kent. So when we are seeing those alarming figures, then we think, okay, we're going to have 5 days of freedom, relative freedom, granted, but freedom nonetheless, to hug some of our family members and friends, to meet together, to sit around the table, have the Brussels sprouts and the turkey and the Christmas pudding and the mince pies, talk and laugh and drink and celebrate Christmas. Or, I don't know, go out to parties together. I mean, there are regulations, but between you and me, do you honestly believe that all those regulations that Secretary of Health Matt Hancock and the Prime Minister come up with, they're being followed to the letter? I've got news for you. They aren't even being followed to the spirit rather than the letter of those regulations. So those 5 days are a landmine, in my opinion. Call me fuddy-duddy, call me conservative, call me frightened, call me cautious, call me whatever you want. But at the end of the day, as Angela Merkel said at the German parliament, the price we pay, she said, the price we will pay, given the rates of the incidence of COVID-19, given that the vaccine, no matter the hoopla and the hype being made about, oh, Maggie got the first vaccine, no, he got the vaccine and his interview went viral, blah, 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 we will pay a price, because the vaccine will not have any effect until way into January for the first men and women who have been inoculated with it. So what do? We think. What do we think? Do we really need those 5 days of, I'm not going to say revelry, because that would be a gross exaggeration on my part, but those 5 days of relatively unfettered freedom? Yes, it's a way of decompressing. It's a way for the government to allow us to vent our frustrations. But guess what? We will pay the price in early January, once those 5 days have expired, and once we turn the page and we enter a new year post-Christmas and the new year. I mentioned last time that Scotland has cancelled Hogmanay. It's a celebration, revelry, drinking, fun. They're doing that because they're worried. So what do we do with those 5 days? Now, let me ask you this question, and just think a little bit reasonably. Don't shoot the messenger because you don't like the message. Are we basically so keen on those 5 days because we want to celebrate Christmas as that Christian religious feast that celebrates the birth, the incarnation, the coming to this world of Jesus in a manger in Bethlehem in Palestine? Is that the reason? Or is it because Christmas now is associated in the minds of a majority of people with celebrations, eating, drinking, laughing, larking about, doing whatever, kissing under the mistletoe? Which one is it? If it is the religious bit, then I've got to tell you that, in my opinion, and incidentally, this will not make many Christian church leaders happy either. Let me just say that, as far as I'm concerned, it is not sure that Jesus was born on the 25th of December. It's not even sure that he was born on the 6th or 7th of January, as some Orthodox churches celebrate the Nativity or the Theophany. But the 25th of December was chosen for many reasons, because it is the date that ties to the winter solstice. It is also a reflection of fun and revelry of Saturnalia, which is a festival dedicated to the Roman deity Saturn. So are we actually celebrating the 25th because if we practice our faith as Christians, do we really choose this date because it is the date that Jesus was born? There is no mention of that date in the Bible. There are some people who say, you know what? He was born in the 6th or 4th BC. Others would say he wasn't actually born on the 25th. He was born at another time, either later in March or earlier in November. What am I trying to say? I'm not trying to cast doubt on the Nativity or Christmas. I happen to be a practicing Christian. But what I'm saying is that if it is a question of celebrating the Nativity of Jesus, in that lowly manger in Bethlehem, and I've been there many times, I've seen that lowly manger, as I'm sure some of you viewers have too, can't we do it at another time and spare ourselves the consequences, the price we might pay? And if it's not spiritual, which for the majority of people it's not, and it's only the fun, the idea of Christmas, the fireworks, going to Trafalgar Square for Londoners, or doing whatever, in moderation this year, I accept, but nonetheless, can't we do it at another time? Let's have all this fun, all the puddings, all the mince pies. Let's have the eating and drinking and fireworks after March, around Easter time. What's holding us back if the price is to avoid paying the price, as Angela Merkel said in Germany, in Berlin, paying the price of allowing ourselves those 5 days. So the church could co-opt a pagan festival as well as the winter celebrations of other pagan religions and say, no, it's the 25th, or it could do it on another day. And all those people partying and meeting others and talking to others, surely they can wait just another 2-3 months before they say that, okay, now that the vaccine has kicked in, we might be able to hug our relatives, our friends, and do what we want to do. Am I being very outrageous? You probably think I am. I might get a comment on this episode from somebody here or there saying, Harry, you're an idiot. Harry, what you're saying doesn't make sense. Well, it's a point of view. And guess what? I've been speaking to many colleagues and associates and friends, and I'm surprised, of all ages, younger and older. And they've said, we don't understand why we are being allowed those 5 days, which might and probably will lead to a spike in the cases, in the mortalities, in the fatalities, and the deaths, which are way above any other European country in the UK now anyway. And despite all the bluster that comes from our political leadership and even the emotional renditions by our Secretary for Health, we are playing with our lives. And if the difference is between somebody getting seriously sick or even sick in hospital, or worse still, in an ICU, and not having those celebrations now, I would opt for the latter choice. But guess what? At the end of the day, I think I'm whistling in the wind. I'm being polite. Not because some people, at least some people, disagree with me, but because the government does not want to confront those people who think that everything I said was nothing short of tripe, balderdash, rubbish. So, fingers crossed, if we're going to go through yet another experience, given the rates in London today, which are serious, very serious, then good luck to us all and a good weekend to you all. Take care.